Hurricane Otis, 2023, Mexico. Flash floods, banned, 2021, Germany. Hurricane Katrina, 2005, USA. More frequent and way more intense natural disasters or catastrophes like hurricanes, floods, heat waves, and droughts are happening more often, becoming more dangerous, and they're growing in cost. In this episode of Transforming Business, we dig deeper into the insurance industry. We ask, is it keeping up with the increasing destruction being caused by extreme weather? Devastating. That's how people described Hurricane Otis in Mexico, and especially so for the province of Guerrero, where the city of Acapulco sits.
When it started to get stronger and stronger, so much that you could hear it from the room, I didn't want to go out because it was very strong. I could only hear things falling, sticks and everything. I could only hear it.
Rocio is a homeowner here. The morning after the hurricane in October 2023, she was unable to enter different parts of her house. She did not have homeowner's insurance. Instead, she had to rely on savings and help from the government to rebuild what she had lost.
It's very expensive to be able to be insured against disasters or things like that. We don't have enough to be insured or to have something secured if any disaster comes.
Rocio is one of the majority of people living in Acapulco who choose not to have insurance.
Only around 6%, 6 of 100 houses have insurance. This is one of the big challenges when it comes to insurance in Mexico. And unfortunately, Guerrero is no exception.
We'll get back to why people are not insured later in this video, but it's not just homeowners. Acapulco is a tourist destination. A year before the hurricane hit, the region reeled with almost 9 million tourists, filling around half of the hotels during peak season. Hurricane Otis damaged 80% of the hotels. Here's how David Zuniga, the owner of Hotel Turquesa, remembers it.
What can I say? Tears were running down my face when I saw my company and all my savings. What worried me was where to get money to recover and be able to start and buy televisions and supplies. We're talking about 500,000 pesos.
David's mid-size hotel is currently being rebuilt. This property was not insured, but he managed to get some coverage through his bank. Cost was a big factor why he decided against insurance. But why can it be so expensive? The global insurance industry is worth 6 trillion US dollars, more than Japan's GDP, and is one of the biggest industries in the world. What it essentially does is take risks on your behalf. You pay an insurance company monthly premium that is calculated based on the potential risk of a disaster like a fire or flood. The higher the risk, the higher the premium. And in such cases, they cover the damage you incurred. Obviously, it's not as simple as that, and we'll talk about the problems of the industry later in the video. So, how is risk analyzed? Well, we can do it ourselves to some extent. If you're a young family looking to invest, if you choose a property in a city, your insurance against natural disasters would maybe be 100 euros a year. But if you find a house closer to the coast or the sea, then your insurance would be higher, maybe 500 euros. This is because the coastal area is more prone to flooding.
Am I living in a flood-prone area today, and with climate change advancing over the next years and decades? If you think about a property, a home, then you need to have a long-term view. How is my property exposed to flooding in 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time from now?
Ernst Strauch, chief climate scientist at Munich Re, the largest reinsurance company in the world, explained it like this.
Having this knowledge, this transparency about the situation and about the options I have to react properly, to improve my resilience.
For a long time, insurers and scientists looked at historical data. They checked activity in different parts of the country, for example, and attached a risk level based on how vulnerable it was in the past.
The focus at those days was hurricanes and earthquakes.
Nobel Prize honoree Karen Clark pioneered the risk assessment model in the 80s, but she questions whether it's an adequate way of looking at it today.
The challenges today are not just hurricanes and earthquakes. It's severe convective storms, floods, wildfires, winter storms. So there are many other perils. And the problem is the methodology used by the first generation of models to assess hurricanes and earthquakes is not well suited to what we call the frequency perils.
Insurers and risk modelers learn from events all over the world. A major hurricane in the US or windstorms in Europe help modeling systems analyze the loss and use the learnings to calculate the cost of future disasters. So risk modeling systems also help set the price of premiums.
We have a catalog of hundreds of thousands of potential future events of all types of events, severe convective storms, hurricanes, earthquakes, just throw them in even though they're not weather related. And then our clients use that catalog to price the risk.
But there are holes in data that these systems use, and that can be a problem.
And we've come a long way in some regions in improving the quality of that data. But in some areas, we still have challenges in terms of having very good information that would be used by the models to assess the risk.
Places that were once deemed safe to build are no longer as secure. Welcome to our valley in Western Germany, a region filled with vineyards and tourism, a region that was ravaged in 2021 by flash floods caused by the low-pressure weather system Bernd. Over 150 people lost their lives. Many saw their homes destroyed. Infrastructure they used every day, like bridges, torn away.
In total, according to the expert opinion, we have just under 190,000 euros in damage to the house. It was flooded up to 10 centimeters below the ceiling of the first floor, so that everything on the first floor and in the basement was affected by the water, contaminated by the mud, and was no longer usable.
Ahrtal was not designated as a high-risk area, and so Harald didn't get the natural hazards insurance.
Considering the flood, I was expecting a horrendous premium, and I'm now paying just under 900 euros a year for the whole house insurance, including natural hazards cover.
Climate change, caused mainly by humans burning fossil fuels, is having a big impact. According to a World Weather Attribution study, which investigates the impact of global warming on the weather, the heavy rain that led to the floods in Ahrtal were more likely to happen and be heavier due to climate change. In Germany, having insurance is a key part of life and a big chunk of monthly wages. Despite this, only 52% of the country's homes are covered by natural hazards insurance, which covers damages caused by floods, rain, earthquakes, and more.
When we moved here, or rather when we bought the house, I thought about water damage and asked around in the neighborhood what the situation was like, what happened here in the past. And everyone always said, no one can ever remember anything like that. Yes, but I've come to the conclusion that I made a mistake by not buying natural hazards insurance.
Increasing risk as a result of climate change is driving up insurance premiums. But let's go back to Mexico. There are many reasons why people don't buy insurance. Affordability is the main one. This leads to a protection gap in which many people are uninsured and hence are unable to get payouts for their loss when a catastrophe hits. They face enormous financial pressure when rebuilding. This gap is also highlighted in the difference between total damage of a disaster and the insured losses. Even in years when the damage from catastrophes was huge, the insured losses were only a fraction. Remember Rocio? The Mexican government helped with some money and her family chipped in too, but she and others like her would have benefited from insurance. Companies say education is key.
We work with different programs to reach the youngest population, including educational campaigns for elementary and high schools. And we also have a whole campaign of identification and raising awareness to the risks to which we're exposed in the adult population.
Then there are places labeled uninsurable.
It's a very complicated situation, obviously, and nobody likes the fact that the risk is going up, but there is a cost to that. And so it's just a question of how we're going to pay for it.
A UK initiative called Flood Re is trying to bridge this problem.
That provides reinsurance to insurers that cover homes against flood risk to make sure that these insurers can continue to offer that insurance to homeowners at an affordable premium level.
This is Francisca Arnold-Dwyer. She's a lawyer and an academic in the insurance industry living in the UK.
How it works is that when you're buying home insurance, flood covered is automatically bundled into that insurance policy as one of the risks, which ensures that whether you're a homeowner that is exposed to flood risk or not, we are all buying it.
In other words, every insurer that offers the typical homeowner's insurance in the UK pays into the Flood Re pool. Each year, the pool accumulates money which is then used to cover flood-related damages for the insured. Instead of the insurance companies paying for the damage, the Flood Re pool is used. And whether you're at risk or not, you're protected. Another initiative in Fiji, which is high risk for cyclones, brings communities, the state, and insurers together.
Recently, the UN sponsored an insurance program there, which actually makes anticipatory payouts. So where the insurance doesn't wait for the loss to happen, but a payout is triggered when a cyclone is imminent. And then people in the affected communities, they get vouchers for specific local stores, which they can redeem against the food supplies and also, sort of hardware stuff to secure their properties.
Experts say initiatives like these can help in high-risk areas all over the world. With close coordination between the insurance industry, scientists, risk modelers, and financiers like the government can help protect the vulnerable. But let's come back to the original question. Is the insurance industry keeping up with the destruction caused by extreme weather? Well, it is an industry worth trillions of dollars where companies gamble with risks. And it's worth mentioning that this same industry is also contributing to the problem by investing billions in fossil fuels. As the global population becomes increasingly vulnerable to climate events, the cost of insurance is also rising. Ultimately, it's up to the industry to change itself, to put in place systems that allow affordable insurance and to back a green transition that will slow the probability of such catastrophes.